Hello and welcome to episode 15 of In Your Ward here in the municipality of Clarence-Rockland. As you well know by this point, we are well into the second interviews with all of our local councillors here. We're coming up to the end of the series, but we can't obviously end this series anytime soon without having another trip to Bourget to meet with Councillor Diane Choinière. How are you, Diane?
Very good, thank you. Thank you for the invite.
Oh, absolutely, and thank you very much for having us. It's a beautifully sunny day.
We're so lucky.
yeah. There was some debatable forecasts, but we've got a lovely day here, and being in the municipality of Clarence-Rockland still, and being somewhere where you've got the housing over there, but you still feel so much like we're out in the rural nature at the moment. It's a really lovely feel.
I even a bike to come here.
We noticed driving past would made us feel bad. Oh, maybe we should have just got out the TVC 22 bicycles and come over. But we'll touch on a little bit about where we are and the importance of it to the local municipality in a little bit. But like we do with all of the councillors, we'll touch on it at the start with Madame Choinière. I just want to ask a little bit of background on yourself. Are you from the area? How long have you lived here, and why did you get involved in local politics?
Oh, well, I was born in Quebec, in the Eastern Township, and then I moved to Toronto when I was about 20 years old, and I lived there for 20 years, and I was a teacher. I was teaching grade 8 students, and for about 12 years, and before that, I was working for the Council of Ministers of Education, which were in charge of programs that in education, because education is a provincial responsibility. All the ministers of education from every province meet at the Council of Ministers, and they put together programs that more than one province could benefit. It's like a second language program and the bursary programs and things like that. So I worked there for probably 8 years. So and then I moved here in 1997, and then I did a master's degree in education while I had 4 children by then, with a newborn, and my oldest one was 16. So the ranch
juggling
was
the
big.
family life with education and work.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I went to school full time, and I did a master's degree in administration, and then after that I applied for jobs, and I had a teaching job in high school at Béatrice des Loges. That was my first. And then I went to Franco City for the rest of my career until I retired in 2019.
2019, really
Yeah.
recent then. So you were saying, obviously, you had this implication in education, which very much like you had a collaboration with a lot of ministers as well. You always saw that political side. Is that what kind of inspired you to get involved and be part of the change here?
Yes, when I was working at the Council of Ministers of Education, it was extremely political. It was so political that we even had to, depending on the topic, we would decide who would sit beside who we would put in which room during lunchtime,
to make sure they weren't arguing with each other. Oh,
so so it was political games a lot, like just strategic, and so it was very important. And if we knew that 2 provinces were on some issues, we made sure they wouldn't be together, and so it was interesting. I learned a lot.
And when was it you got implicated here locally?
I moved in Bourget in 2003, and so I've been city councillor since. I moved to in 2003, and I started being a city councillor in 2010.
2010.
So
What made you want to run?
Well, actually, I was. I made the decision very quickly. Just before that, before I made the decision, I didn't have a municipal water in my street, and so after I bought my house, I went to see all my neighbors to see if their water was good, and everybody was telling me their water was good, but it wasn't. So I went to I asked one of the neighbors who is known by everybody here in the street. So I went to get him, and I said, okay, you need to come with me. So we did every house again with him, and then they told me the truth that the water was not good, and but they were afraid that it would decrease the value of their house. So I told them, but if we want water, we need to the samples and results, from. So anyway, so I pushed it, and then it went a bit further in the rest of Bourget, and then finally the city organized a meeting at this community center, and then they applied for a grant, two-thirds, federal and provincial, and we just had to pay 1/3, and we finally ended up having water. So then I realized, hey, you know what, we can make a change, and then in 2010, just a few months before, I was at the restaurant and I was complaining about, I wish this, and I wish that, and I wonder if this will ever happen, or if this. And then my friend just said, well, Diane, you've got so many ideas, why don't you run? And then it just went like
a light bulb moment.
Yeah, why not?
Wow.
Right away I thought, yeah, why not, and that would be good, And so then I decided to, the following Monday, I went to the city hall and I gave my name. It happened quickly like that.
Yeah, and you've had a fantastic career. You're on your 11th year of municipal politics now as well. How have you found juggling because you were such an agent for change when you were here, which you said, getting that water done, being involved and implicated and wanting positive things for your community. But the very hard job of a councillor is balancing all of these things that you want to improve your community versus what is actually realistically possible, and you've got to, because you're juggling so many projects simultaneously. How have you found that contrast, wanting so much but then having to also kill some people's dreams a little bit?
Yeah, because it's only one vote, so you can bring in ideas, you can do all the research behind it and all the work that you need to do, but if the other councillors have other priorities and they don't believe that it would be as urgent as other projects, then it can fall. But you see, when I was teaching, almost my whole career, I always taught programs where I had to deal a lot with the parents, and psychologists, police officers.
Programs that involve
probation
a lot of other parties with different interests. Absolutely,
and the protection protection for children, and so I was with the special ed, and then co-op, but for the dropouts, and also the new immigrants, and so I always worked with different programs like that. So having to deal with the parents, like the parents want this, and being the in-between, trying to do what's best for the student, I was their voice. I was my students' voice to make sure that their rights would be filled, so respected. So I was between the school board and the parents. So I tried to mediate all the time between the two, so that this is what the parents want, this is what the school board can give, and I would be like kind of fight for them.
Yeah.
And so I did that for so many years that it's almost natural.
Ingrained in you.
It's ingrained. I think I didn't have to overcome or learn how to do it. I think it just like you said, it's natural. It just happens. I like solving problems. I'm always, when there's a problem, right away my mind goes to a solution. I was like very young, and I remember my mom told me we would be 9 around the table because there were 7 children, and one of the kids would complain about something, and then I said, well, stop complaining. What are you going to do about it? And I would say that when I was like 8 years old.
Always thinking about the solution to the problem rather than just sitting there and being frustrated by it.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you said it once, okay, we know about it, so what are you going to do? To me it was like, or I would say, oh, it's not a problem, okay, that's not a problem, it's just, a challenge, but, we can solve it. Yeah. So I always had that attitude in me, and my parents told me it's, of all the kids, they could have guessed that I would be the one, going in politics. Yeah, and there were a lot of politicians in my family as well. So, I had 3 uncles who were mayors, and I had my grandfather on my dad's side was a city councillor for many years also, and so I guess, and I have cousins who are married with deputies in Quebec, were the federal minister of different. So it's I've been exposed
It's a family.
to a lot of
It's always been a family affair. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Diane, as we said, 11 years in now. Obviously, this is the 11th year, coming on to the 12th year next year, which will be the end of this term.
Yeah.
As we look for other elections. I mean, it is the question I've sort of asked all your fellow councillors at the tail end of the first half of interviews. Do we think we're going to be seeing your name on a ballot next year again? Is it something
I would
you're still
like to.
interested in?
Yes, I really want to, because I love being in Bourget. The people are really great. I mean, even though if they complained about something, they do it with grace. You know, they do it with, they're very polite, they're very, you know, they express that they're not happy, but it's never projected towards me. You know, they understand right away that I'm there to listen to them and that I'm there to help. And so it's easier to come to a solution and really understand exactly what they want.
Yeah.
So how I can help, you know. And so now I have a pretty good relationship with, I haven't had any conflict with anybody, to tell you the truth.
Fantastic. Well, as you said, it'd be nice to see your name back on the ballot next year as well. And there's a lot of things going on in Bourget, and I think that's the perfect time for us to take a little bit of a break. And when we come back, Diane and I are going to head just actually down the lovely trail that we see to the side of us to go talk about a special building and a special park and what can be done to keep them coming forward. We'll be back in just a second. Hello and welcome back to part 2 of In Your Ward. We're in Bourget for Ward 8 with Councillor Madame Diane Choinière. We just had a lovely discussion in the first half of you seeing a little bit about Madame Choinière's background and her pathway into municipal politics here. And so in the second half, what we're going to do is we're going to touch on a little bit more about some specific projects, and particularly the building you can see behind us right now, the Bourget train station, and we're in the middle of the recreational trail pathway, le sentier récréatif in French, which actually extends along the whole of the United Counties of Prescott-Russell. But as with anything, Madame Choinière, it's not completely straightforward at the moment, is it? So
No,
I think
not.
the best thing to establish is a little bit about the recreational pathway, its background, and sort of where we're at the moment with it.
Well, there's been a corporation that was created about 19 years ago in order to have a committee who would manage the trail, you know, for the whole, from Ottawa all the way to the limit of Quebec. And so they've been existing for 19 years, but they've prepared an action, kind of a summary of all the things that they've done over the last 4 years. And they also brought in a report for an action plan, so how far they want to go in the future. And so they really have their five main items that are really, really important, that will have an impact on maybe the decision that the United Counties may take, or any other organization would be willing to take over. And what happens is they want to promote, the purpose of the corporation is to promote all the businesses in the area. So they want to put more signs on the trail, so that people know, like, for example, when they are in this area, where there's a restaurant there, there's this, there's that, you know, there's some other historical artifact.
Absolutely.
And also they want to create a committee with citizens locally for each section. And then they want to also they want to promote with the Eastern Ontario Health Unit.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, they want to create a relationship with them, and in order to promote how important it is to remain active. And I think walking, bicycling, you know, are available. It's possible for no matter how old you are. So I think it's important to keep it. And also you need a safe area to ride with young families. You don't want to go on the side of the street when they can fall any time and then get hit by a car, you know. And so that's important. And also they want to get some funding. And the reason why there's such a debate right now with the United Counties. It's because it's costing them over $300,000.
What's
$1 a
costing them
year
$300,000?
to maintain the whole trail, and they don't want to bear that cost anymore. So they're willing to spend about $40,000 and not more. So the corporation of the recreational trail, they need to go and get some funding. So they approach Canadian Tire, who have a Jump Start program, and so that they can, on a regular basis, and also that their grant be recurrent. And also they approach different organizations who, and they want to do some fundraising activities as well. And there's a lot of activities that they want to promote too. For example, when it's the month of the bicycle, where they want to have special, people, specialized people in bicycle who can show the kids how to maintain their bicycle and all the safety,
Almost like a bicycle festival kind of thing.
That's right, yeah. And then turn it into a special event. We have the nice pavilion just about everywhere in every little town where it goes through it. And so it's possible to gather the people. There's lots of room. And so they're working really hard to try to maintain it, So if the United Counties do not want to renew the contract, the city of Clarence-Rockland wants to have at least our share, like from the limit, at least, from Champlain all the way to Hammond.
Yeah.
If we could keep that, it would be worth it. And also the corporation is talking right now with the Stormont and, no, not Stormont, it's Vaudreuil and Soulanges.
Okay, yeah.
The municipality régionale de Candy Regional Municipality, something, and of Vaudreuil-Soulanges, in order to connect the two.
To be able to extend the
to
pathway
extend
even
it all the
further.
way to connect with their trail and promote some activities so that they would invite people going from directly to to their activities, and so that their people can come here. So they would help each other to promote the trail. So you would have a better, stronger impact. And as you know, in Quebec, the trails are almost all in asphalt, really well maintained, very wide, and they are not on the side of the street. They are in locations, through parks and through mainlands. So it's important. They put a lot of emphasis in Quebec, and we want to their help, their support in order to help us to promote it more and make people realize how important it is, And so and all the good side effect on your health, and the positive side effect. So it's that's really the role of the committee, and like they need to find some funding, and that will determine what's going on, and also we have the train station on the trail here.
Indeed,
so it's a nice stop between Ottawa and Vaudreuil, for example.
If you wanted to do that full journey, absolutely.
That's right. So you could do so much. Well, we'll talk about that later, but there's a lot that could be going on. A lot of activities, a lot of see how large it is here. So you could have some tents, and people could sell things. It could be even a market,
like a little food truck kind of
that's
thing
right,
here and there.
Promote everything that we have locally. And so there's a lot that can be done with the trail. But again, we need more funding. We need the people to let the United Counties know that you want to keep the recreational trail. The more the people tell them how important it is for them and all the benefits it does for them, well, the United Counties are supposed to represent their population. So
Indeed.
if the population wants it and require it, we have a lot of people coming from Ottawa to go to the restaurants here. We have regulars to come here. And so because it's just long enough for the people who want who are good at bicycling for long periods of time, and they like it here, So
it's nice to head out somewhere else as well, especially if you're in Ottawa, you always tend to head out towards Gatineau Park or something. It's nice to head in a different direction.
And it's fun because they know they can eat here. They have a place where they come to have breakfast, so they leave early when it's not too warm, and then they come here, and then they gather with some of their friends that they have living in the area here, like even Limoges and the other places, and they meet here in Bourget. So it's, you see, it's already
the infrastructure's in place to promote this kind of touristic and economic development. Anyway, there's a huge amount to unpack in all of this. We know it's a complicated element, it's a complicated story, it's a complicated negotiation that's going on at the moment. When you mention, I think, like, for the sake of clarity, when you mention the organisation there, this is not an organisation who owns the trail right now.
No, the corporation only manages it.
Indeed. So who is currently owning the trail? Because
that's
one of the reasons why Clarence-Rockland can't just say, well, we're going to look after our one thing.
That's right. It's because it belongs to VRL. So, and VRL, the reason why they end the contract, initially they were ending the contract at the end of June, in 3 days. But it's being postponed until the end of August. And, but what happens is they just cannot afford it. They keep saying that they cannot afford it, and many of the municipalities from the Prescott-Russell who are not on, don't have anything to do with the trail, they don't want to pay
the
for
money.
it. They don't want to use their money. Even though we pay for the hospital in Hawkesbury, we pay for for a lot of things for the roads in the nation, and we pay for the things, but
so that's one of the things holding up negotiations.
This is where, this is where you need to negotiate and say, hey, listen, you get so much money for this, and we need so much money for that, and it's good for all Prescott-Russell.
Brings people in, it will get them
That's
to,
right.
It's a little bit like this, the new touristic adventure brew and chew that's occurring
And
here.
if we bring people here, then it brings people to the other area as well. If they look for a place to sleep, we don't have any hotel here. So they may go maybe to Limoges, or they may go to other places. So it would have an impact on them too, and eventually they could even create their own and then connect it here. Yes. And it would be a circuit. It would be great. And then you could do festivals.
Even better if you could do a loop and you don't have to just keep turning around.
Yeah,
absolutely.
and having a festival every summer would be great, So it's, and uniting all all the municipalities, in Prescott-Russell. It would be, I don't know, it would be
we did a previous interview a few months ago with Mayor Monsieur Guy Desjardins, and he was speaking about it himself and talking about this trail and how we were saying it's not just a fact of acquiring it. The United, as you mentioned before, if the United Counties don't want it, the City of Clarence-Rockland would love their bid as well. But a famous quote for me is Mr. Mayor, who is honest to a fault, who turned around and said, yes, but I was like, how much are you willing to pay for this? He was like, $1. And he was just like, look, VRL don't want this path anymore. They don't want to have to pay the maintenance for it and don't want to have to look after it. So do you feel like if it, say the $1, say this portion that goes from the edge of Clarence-Rockland's municipality, as you say, all the way to Hammond over there, was given, do you think there is enough support in the local council to get some money together in the budget to be able to look after this section every year?
The problem is not, all the city councillors want to keep the trail. That it's been already voiced by all of them. The problem resides in the fact that VRL doesn't want to deal with each municipalities.
They want to get rid of the whole thing in one chunk.
They want, that's why United Counties was perfect, because it covered all the municipalities. So this is where they don't get along right now, because we want to make a deal with them. We want to do something with them, but they don't want to. They said, no, we want to work with them. So we're looking for an organization, like it could be, I don't know, any organization that are using the trail. It could be even the snowmobile, the snowmobile club. They could, because they use the whole trail.
So one of those where they could have it under their name, for example, but they don't deal with the maintenance of it. It's just it's under their name and someone else maintains it.
Yeah, the city could help for that section, and then maybe they could go and have their members pay a bit higher, But at least they would maintain it, because they want to use it as well.
Find, as you say about the Canadian Tire Fund, we'll find another organisation that might want to fund it and sponsor it.
Somebody who would be willing to take the responsibility of the whole trail, but we're still pushing to have at least, to try to do something with just us, our municipality. But again, VRL is, I think that they're trying to push the contract, hoping the United Counties would change their mind. and they keep pushing it, but
Are you getting an impression that that's the mind of the United Counties isn't likely to change right
well,
now?
the mind of the majority of mayors don't want the trail, to maintain the trail. So this is what makes it difficult. There are only 3 of them, I believe, who wants to keep it.
Well, there's some interesting ongoing negotiations, and this is a topic that I'm sure you and I haven't spoken about for the last time on today. One of the things that we were here to talk about as well was something that is a little bit separate to just the Sentier, the trail, the recreational trail here, but is also right on the doorstep of it, so you can't really separate it, is the gorgeous Bourget train station we've got here that used to be on the old Ottawa to Montreal train pathway, iconic, really built in the 1800s, wasn't it? So, I mean, like, I want to ask you, what is the building being used for today, and what do you hope that it could be used for, say, if the trail was purchased? Do you think it could be something that people could stop off here? What could we use this building for?
Well, there was a committee was set up about 7 years ago, but because we knew that the contract would end and we didn't know if we would be able to renew it via rail, we didn't want to invest $500,000, and then not being able to renew the contract. So as long as we don't know what's going on with the trail, it's very difficult to convince any councilor to invest money in their train station. Yeah. We could move it, but because it's a very old building, I don't know how it would be possible, because you know how it is, the way it's built, it'd be awkward.
Yeah, you see those crazy TV shows often based in the United States where they literally lift up buildings in the back of a truck and move it down the road kind of thing. But as you say, a very old building, that could be a little dangerous.
It would be pretty dangerous, and not, I don't know if it would be solid enough too, and it's not, well, I don't know, because there's a basement over there, but there's no basement over there. So it's being built
one of those
separately.
where it's best to keep it where it is and find something to do. What kind of ideas would you have, say, if the trail was taken over? What are we thinking?
If you want to keep it for historical, you need to keep it where it is. This is where people remember. Like, there's a lot of people in Rockland who told me that they use the train. They travel. They remember every time. They want it there too. So, and a lot of people here too. So I think it's important to keep it. And what I don't understand is VRL has sold a lot of their part of their lot, to the owners of whoever, like it's usually between 2 owners. So the people were able to buy it, for like I know a lot of people who bought in Quebec, they sold many trails. I don't know why they don't want to just sell it here, like then they won't have to spend any money. A train is not going to come back here. We can hardly have an extension on the under 174. So do you think they're going to reinvest in there? So
is the building itself at the moment owned by Via Rail as part of the trail, or is it owned by the city of Clarence-Rockland?
The train station is owned by the city. It's a family, Robillard family, who sold it to the city for $1. And so because
Mr. Guy Desjardins would have loved that deal.
Yes, that's right. And it belonged to the family who lived there, and when their father died, then this is what he requested, and he asked the children to give it to the city. So, and that's what they did. And but again, because we own the building, but we don't own the land, that creates a problem. So that's why it'd be really important that we can have if we renew a contract, we don't want it for just 10 years. If we invest that much money in it, we want it to have the security that it will be for 50 years minimum, And so this is where, there's so many issues to...
Absolutely.
But
and there's some really nice ideas with what could be done with it.
Oh,
I mean,
a lot could be done.
Before, and like
could
coffee shop or
could be a coffee shop. It could be a bike repair. It could be, imagine like people, coming here, and we could do a nice, it could be bicycle stands everywhere here, a nice sitting area where people could just grab healthy food, and because usually people who are very active, they want to eat healthy, and they don't want to eat too much too, So they.
You don't want a whole burger in your stomach if you're cycling 50 kilometers.
I don't know if you went to. They have a train station like that they renovated in La Belle.
Okay.
And that's what they have. They have a little coffee and a bar, in a coffee shop and bar and restaurant in it, and it's great. It's lovely. And so there could be that. It could be also a place like a museum where the artists could come and expose display, where they could display their art. You know, it could be, what else could it be?
Well, the potential is enormous.
It's
really.
enormous.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
enormous. You know, we couldn't use the second floor because of the new requirement. It's impossible to move where the stairs are.
Okay.
And but a lot of money, like so far, there's been about $450,000 that has been put aside with the development charges in order to eventually do something
When
with
we
it.
can. So there's
But
already
we
a pot of money available
That's right.
to do
But
something.
we spent some money already because we fixed the roof. We removed the old furnace, which was a big oil tank. So we had that removed. Now we have a new furnace with natural gas. So we're saving a lot on heating it in the winter because we still have to heat it a little bit. And then we, there were some beams that were underneath that were cracked. So they reinforced some of them and they replaced, some. And so and what else did they do? Oh, there was the asbestos. So they removed all the asbestos as well. So now it's all clean.
Indeed.
Yeah. So already a lot has been done. And you should see, at one point we need to do something in the inside because that area here that you see, this is where they were putting all the things from the train, you know, all the packages,
Yes,
the mail, all the goods, you know, and it's very antique inside. It's all
Such a
like
piece of
nice
history.
big wood, and oh yeah, it's beautiful. And we're hoping to keep some of the artifact and put them on the walls, you know.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
So, yeah,
that would be fantastic.
and with this history. So there's a lot, and people want it. People want to keep it.
And this is the point. So Diane, thank you so much for taking the time out today and talking to us about the trail here, as well as the potential use of the station, which is such a wonderful, wonderful landmark. And as Councilor Choinière has said, it really is of utmost importance if we want to keep this historical landmark. If you utilise the trail, if you know people do, kids, family that enjoy it, then reach out to your local councillor, say that you want it, give the city the strongest position to be able to try and keep it, as well as making the most of one of the loveliest landmarks, historical buildings we have in our region as well. So Madame Choinière, thank you very much once again for joining us. It's not the last we've spoken about this. Looking forward to speaking again.
Thank you very much. It was really nice talking to you.
Absolutely. I'll try and do it sometime less sunny next time because we're both very, very warm.
Yes, it's very warm. 32 degrees probably today, yeah.
Lovely day for it. Lovely day for it. And thank you very much for everyone at home who watched. Join us next time for the last episode of this series, where we'll be going back to Saint-Pascal to speak to Councillor Christian Simard. Thank you for watching.